welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the FACEIT Global Summit. We had a little bit of a more prolonged break there, but don't you worry, you didn't miss anything, as we have a few more games to come here to find out our Global Summit champion in the end. And obviously, one name truly dominated the headlines in our past match. However, we have to give credit where credit is due, of course, here as what is going on. Incognito did do very respectfully. What is happening? Can I? I'll take one. What's going on? I love eating things on broadcast, actually.
No, I mean, honestly, though, Incognito had a phenomenal game. Second place, 10 kills. Sure, they lost the final shootout, but I think part of that was they were working up a strategy to beat 17. They're like, okay, there's 4 guys. There might be a snake somewhere. Let's figure this out. Then all of a sudden, they just go, 3 left. And I know that kind of, the nade follow-up, by the way, CPT looted a grenade off of 17 because he said he was out of resources. And then used that to beat Incognito.
That's fair. That is
4 dead bodies, he just vultured slowly. About, nades.
But they played this game very, very well. I think Entis had 7 kills on that one. And then C9, who went out in 7th place, had 12 kills. K-Mind played absolutely crazy in that match. So while we may have seen the best play, I'd say one of, if not probably the best play in PUBG history. We also saw a lot of really good players and teams stepping up in that match.
There's so many highlights in this match. K-Mine, there's Incognito's kind of sweeping around the circle. Unfortunately, lost a few guys there, but there were 2 versus 1 in the end. And I think if CPT didn't win that 1 versus 4 or completely wiped 17, I don't think he would be able to kind of take that because he was not in the best position. He had a kind of advantage a little bit, but Incognito, he got a quick down on one of the players, and then you won the 1 versus 2.
Yeah, it's crazy how much that overshadowed what was absolutely a really fantastic game with some extremely strong individual plays left, right, and center. However, as we mentioned, one specific moment was very important, and of course will go down in PUBG history. Let's move on, though. We have finished our 2 games of Miramar. We have 1 more left, and then we will be moving on to Erangel. It's Toffee's takeaways time. Apart from everything that happened at the end of that game,
about it.
Don't you? I want to know what you think some of the teams here can do better to get into our last map on Miramar.
I mean, they did what C9 did in that one. They looted faster, they rotated quickly, and they pushed some fights, and that's what it was. 12 kills in 7th place is right up there with you may as well finish 2nd on an average game, right? So if you want to bounce back, you've only got 4 games left to do it. You have to put up some massive numbers to catch up. And now, if you are in 2nd through 5th, you just saw what happened. 4 AM and OP Rangers are going to start to pull away. I think Armory Gaming is still mixed up in there. It's catch-up time, and you need to do it right now.
So OP Gaming did have that 3rd place with some kills here, but they need to stay consistent as they did yesterday. We need to see some more top 5 placement with some 3 to 6-ish kills, or a big win from them as we saw yesterday. But I'm a bit worried because they're in this kind of lead spot, and I feel like they kind of changed their playstyle a little bit, but not to the better. I want to see them continue what they did from yesterday.
All right, well, before obviously we get into our final game here of Miramar and then moving on to Erangel, we can head down to Frankie, who's with a man who has a beard far more glorious than mine.
It's glorious indeed, but don't put yourself down, Kalaris. Of course, I'm with Fuzzface from FaceFan. And Fuzz, tell me, why aren't you guys playing up there this weekend?
We had a rough phase, but we're happy we could be here and support the boys from EU and all the other amazing teams.
And we are going to see you, though, in the 2nd stage of PEL, though. So what have you learned? What are you going to be doing next time we see you play?
More aggressive.
Even more aggressive?
I don't think we were that aggressive first phase. So
that's what happened then. Okay, well, you're still one of my favorite teams. You're still one of the best teams in the world, in my opinion. But talking about the teams that are here today, who do you have your eye on?
Of course, it's Liquid. We really support the boys, and they're good friends of ours. Of course, we really want Liquid to do well, and watch all the Asian competition as well. So it's a good showing.
Do you think China could take it, or do you think Korea might actually take that trophy home today?
I think Liquid can take it.
You think Liquid can take it? Do you have any words of encouragement for the boys? I know Gemty must be a particular favorite of the team for you.
Just do your thing, pull up, baby.
And can I ask you about the show match this morning for those who missed it at home? How was that? You were playing with Uber, who's just off camera trying to avoid my gaze.
It was short for us. Happened fast.
I mean, you haven't practiced on Sandhawk much, I'm guessing.
Yeah, let's use that as an
Yeah,
excuse.
Sandhog, you know. What's for Kendi? There's a snow map in PUBG now? Well, Fuzz, thank you so much for talking to me. Enjoy the rest of the games, and I'm sure the Liquid Boys will be really pleased to know that you're in their corner. But for now, I think we need to head over to Freya, because she's with the fabulous Mr. James Bardolph.
That is exactly right, Frankie. I am backstage here with James Bardolph. Now, if you guys don't know who this wonderful man is, he is a caster in the Counter-Strike community and also creative director here at FACEIT. And this is the first PUBG event you've been to, James. How are you finding it?
Can we just say, all right, can we have a look at the box that Frankie's standing on? Okay, I'm very tall, so she's kind of cheating here, or it looks like I am as well, but there we go. Yeah, it's my first PUBG event, and it's been really, really awesome. Obviously, I had to come down because we're running it, but that grenade was amazing. So I came down just before that, made a nice video of it. I've really enjoyed it. I've been down, I think, all the days it's been live, the live crowd have been here, and it's been really awesome.
I mean, thanks for dropping me in on that. I'm wearing heels and on a box. So this is how tall James actually is. Again, lovely shot of my feet there. You said about that grenade. That's something that, I mean, potentially you don't really normally see that kind of play in Counter-Strike, that sort of confident, incredibly, yeah, just confident play. What did you make of that when you saw that?
It's rare you get an opportunity to see so much lead time, like just really preparing something crazy to happen like that. So I think it's great for the crowd, and it's a great explosive moment for PUBG as well, and I'm glad it happened here at the summit, so that was fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you said just before we came on air that you actually tested PUBG on the FACEIT platform. What do you make of it as a game? Because it is incredibly different to Counter-Strike.
Yeah, when it first came on the platform, I helped make up the numbers and test it. But my job, I just like to go where other people are looting and steal the cars that they've taken and just kind of drive off while they're shooting at me. But I think it's really awesome. Seeing tournament PUBG like this, I think, has been quite eye-opening for me, coming from Counter-Strike mainly. So I think that it's really, really exciting. And the commentators, I have to say, are doing a fantastic job. I think it requires a unique set of tools, and more than like a CS commentator, with the beginning of the game and how you keep people engaged. So I've been really impressed by all the guys who've been on the microphones as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have a fantastic team on screen and off screen as well. I wanted to pick up on the observers, because obviously we're used to having mainly Sliggy. Shout out to Sliggy out there, who is our Counter-Strike observer. But we have a team of 6 observers, I believe, back there. It's quite different to the dynamic of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I think they've got a really difficult job considering how much action is going on, but we saw a great panning camera on a boat the other day when people were getting shot out of the boat. There was like a scene from an action movie, so I thoroughly enjoyed that. So I think they have a unique set of opportunities and issues to deal with here, but they've done a great job so far from what I've seen.
And I mean, you said earlier that you're the type of person to drive off when there's a fight. Are you more of a passive player then?
I just want to drive the cars, man. I'm not trying to win the game. I'm just trying to drive the cars. I did play on FACEIT in one match, and my team were like, "What are you doing?" So I was like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't play this anymore." So I think I'm just too much of a troll. But just trying to sneak in while someone's looting, just drive away with their vehicles and get shot at. I just think it's hilarious. So that's me.
Well, I mean, about the teams, is there anybody you have your eye on? Is there anybody you think could be lifting the trophy tonight?
I don't know, man. I'm liking this 4 a.m. team. They're doing pretty well back there, so it would be pretty cool. I think people like Liquid and Windstrike I've seen some great plays from them as well, so it looks wide open at the moment. There are, I think, 4 games left to go, so I think it's going to get really crazy.
Exactly, yeah. We have one more map of Miramar, and then we're on to 3 games of Erangel. So let's head back over to the desk, and we can break that one down.
Hey, Bardolph, Marty Skrull, too sweet me, bro. I can't believe it. Unbelievable. You have no clue what I just said.
No.
But he knows. I'm going to have to get him afterwards. There we go.
Thank you for that inside joke.
Well, he said he haven't tried to be winning yet. So if you want to try to win, he can team up with some of the boys, and I'll carry him through it.
So I also would like to touch briefly on the Fuzzface interview. Fuzz said they're here supporting Liquid. Liquid's actually in a pretty good spot. I just want to point this out. Had there been a situation at the last PGI where Liquid could have earned an extra spot for attendance, do you know who would have been there?
Who's that? FaZe Clan.
FaZe Clan.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where you're watching, you're like, come on, boys, get that extra slot, because you never know who's going to need it.
Sure.
So do you think he's going to go backstage and say, guys, so we're going to go in Erangel in the last 3 games. Come on, please.
If I was him, I would have brought a stack of paper, and I'd be throwing paper airplanes that say, stop it, stop it.
Very encouraging, I think he's going to be.
They may need coaxing off of that location, it is fair to say. So obviously, I got your Toffee's takeaways from going into Miramar. Not going to ask for your Avengers, but I do want your thoughts going into our last map on Miramar, of course, here, Avenger.
So obviously, Shoot to Kill yesterday had an amazing performance in Miramar. I really want to see them end on like strong. They're looking to be Cloud9 did step it up a little bit, but they're looking to be kind of America's maybe last hope coming into getting one of these top 3 region spots. So I really want to let them finish strong, and I want to see a northern circle. So when they are in Cerveny, they're going to be having a kind of the shoot-to-kill circles, as you call them in MPL.
I mean, for them to have a shot right now of getting that extra regional shot thing, they have to have a day like they did yesterday on the final 3, plus one more really strong game. So if they don't come out smashing on the last Miramar match of the game, I start to worry that all hope is lost in terms of North America's hopes of an extra slot coming out of this event.
All right, fair. And we're spoiled, really, for choices here at the moment. So we're just waiting a few more moments to get into the game. So let's head down to Frankie, who has another patron here of the PUBG world.
I do indeed. And actually, I gave him a bit of a shout out earlier in the week because this is Kai, aka streamer and caster, this Kai. I heard a few whoops from the audience there, loving it. And Kai, you actually sponsored Incognito. Your name's on their jersey.
I did indeed, yeah. I saw them qualify, and it was a tight one. And then I saw they helped get in, and it was worth it. They're the OCE team that I follow. So I had to get behind it.
So it wasn't that you heard the story and you felt a little bit sad, emotional inside, and you thought, I have no idea who these guys are, but I'm going to give them my money.
No. I mean, I knew them. I knew them from before. I knew them through Ezra, their manager. We met at PGI Berlin. And I just wanted to give as much support as I could. I tried to arrange boot camp as well, but you know, they sourced that. I couldn't help them out, but I tried it.
Have you actually had a chance to meet the boys in person yet?
Not yet. I'm looking to do that today.
Oh, fantastic. We should get a camera. We should follow you. It's going to be emotional. Now, you're also bidding for a different team here today as well, and it's not a European one, is it?
No. So I follow in NA. I follow Tempo Storm. I know them. I know them through the coach Microstar. We go back a long way. So yeah, they're here today. They have had a rough couple of days. I'm hoping to see a great game out of them.
The question is, though, Kai, as a PUBG expert yourself, a connoisseur, a chicken connoisseur, would you say that Tempo Storm can still win it, or do you think there's another team that's going to take the trophy home?
I think if they win 4 games in a row, then sure, they can do it. But I don't think they can do that with the teams that are here. The teams that are here are insane. The plays I've seen, nuts. Absolutely crazy. 4 a.m., CPT, huge.
So you're thinking maybe 4 a.m. might win today?
I don't know who's going to win it. I'm really looking forward to see how things turn out, but it's going to be a rough one for anyone coming down from the bottom like Tempo.
Well, it's been lovely having you here, this Kai. Please do enjoy the rest of the show because we need to head back to the desk.
See you guys.
That's right. Let's take a look at the leaderboards as well here, as all of the points have been racked up throughout our games so far. And as you can see, all the way to the top still is OP Gaming Rangers up there as that gap closes just a little bit by a little bit. 4 angry men, wow. That's a lot of points that Mr. CPT was able to rack up in those final moments with 64 points to their name. They are now only 10 points behind being able to breach where we see OP Gaming Rangers going into our last map of Miramar.
His point was as brutal as it was fair. The teams at the bottom now are hitting that struggle bus where, honestly, unless they're able to put up 12-plus points a game, catching up to the OP Rangers is, I mean, even with 12-plus points, it's still a dream. In order to like guarantee a push to first, you'd have to be you'd be 16K club 4 times in a row. So these bottom teams have to start thinking, how do I represent myself well? How do I get myself to the mid tier so that you're sort of still in the conversation when the next time comes around? And what do you learn from the rest of the tournament?
There's multiple things here. Obviously, there's the top 3 part, but there's also, you want to get into the money. It's only the top 12 that are getting money here. You want to make sure there's a fight all the way here. Envy is still sitting just 1 point behind Cloud9, and obviously there's also the kind of the internal rivalries that's going on here is very interesting. So going into the money, being better than your fellow league players, there's just so many stories still here to see.
Yeah, definitely. At the other side of the table, though, guys, NIP came in on fire when it came to the group stages. They haven't been able to gain traction here so far in the grand finals.
No, unfortunately not. They're currently sitting in 15th with 27 points. I mean, if they're pulling on the last 4 games, if they're pulling the performance they had in the 4 best games back-to-back in the group stages, they could still be going up to the kind of the top 5, backing themselves some more money, but they really have to step it up. As Mamavad said, unleash the Galaxy. It is time. You have to just unleash him. If it's either you fail or you win with glory.
You know, they had a good opening to group stages, and I think maybe it worked against them as they taught their opponents how to come out on top. Everyone watched the performance of teams like STK and Ninjas in Pajamas, learned from it, evolved, and the rest of the field got incredibly strong. My heart goes out to them. I thought for sure this was going to be their tournament, and maybe it still could be. Again, we'll put that hope balloon up in the air, but I do believe that helium is running out rapidly.
We were talking about that this could be the start of the NIP era, and I was really hoping to see that because I think these guys have come together since the WTSG times and really shown that they're a top European team.
Final thoughts, Avenger, before we get into the game?
I really want to see Shoot to Kill have a fantastic start here. I really want to see these guys pump up so they can come into Wrangle and really shoot to kill everybody, of course, but I really want to see them end on a strong note because these guys are fantastic and they really deserve that.
STK, 17, and VSG, they're the ones who can make the push. They can potentially cause a little more saucy action up at the top. They've got to do it, and if they're going to do it, now is the time. So buckle down, get ready for a big ride because things are about to get crazy.
Absolutely. If this is your stomping ground, Miramar, the time is now to be able to make the moves when it comes to racking up the points here for the FACEIT Global Summit. The crowd is hot as we are ready to get into our last game of Miramar. Then after that, it is Erangel. I'm sending it over to the commentary team.
All right, we just got done seeing the grenade heard around the PUBG world. It has really shaken up the leaderboards. Remember, we had the analysts talking about the top 3 regions that perform here are going to be walking away with an extra slot, and with that great performance from 4 a.m., they managed to put China into 3rd place.
That was the craziest thing in PUBG esports history. Just, though you coined it, the one angry man. Unbelievable match from. It is hard to suppress my emotions right now. I was flying high. I was ready to just yell about anything. That I'm like, the weather's really nice today, man. I'm like, it's really good.
Well, a big thing that happened with that is that also cemented a lot of movement for some of these other regions. Naturally, your Koreans, that's doing quite well up there, still sitting up in 1st place, but EU and North America still trying to get into those top 3 regional spots because I gotta say, Armory Gaming has come out of nowhere, getting into 2nd place for SEA.
Yeah, you got to keep your eyes on them. They're playing lights out on Miramar. They always seem to find a way to be in it. I cannot wait to get this started. The Asia teams are really representing the last game of Miramar we have here at the FACEIT Global Summit Grand Finals.
And a very mean plane path, as you can see on the map. Not a lot of space to really work with, so if you're one of the Eastern teams, going to have to do a little bit of a stretch out. Really, it's going to come down to how do these rotations come into play. Miramar has been a map to watch and has been just absolutely awesome.
It has just been so much fun this tournament. There have been so many crazy moments on Miramar now. Let's see how our plane path shakes out here. VSG doing their normal thing. AG heading right away over to the eastern side themselves. I haven't seen anything super crazy yet, Matchroom. It looks like everybody's kind of settled into their paths here.
They had a chance. Everybody got up, went to the restroom, got themselves a drink, calmed down after the craziness that was that last round. Well, you say that, but the audience is still 100% into it. You can hear the chants going off in the background, but here we go. All the teams are starting to make a little bit of landfall. We're watching over here with Windstrike. Got themselves a lot of control over this area, I believe.
Yeah, El Pozo is finally there. They've had a couple teams contesting them previously. One time it was 4 a.m. We've seen the Blue Bees before they were eliminated contesting El Pozo as well. AG setting up shop north of Water Treatment, NIP. They are at Water Treatment a little bit south of it, so it looks like, as D-Man mentioned before, that they were kind of setting up there again.
All right, circle has popped, and it's pretty friendly. It's just almost due center inside the map. So I think right now we actually only have, what, maybe 10 players that are not even, I don't even think it's that. Well, we have maybe 8 players that are not inside the safe zone at the time.
Yep, so this should be a pretty friendly circle to most people. Oh, okay. Can you make this work with the 1911?
Kill with a pistol. RDK does manage to get himself a vehicle, going to drive away for a second. I was like, whew. All right, see, look, I've been trying not to show any North American bias, but shoot to kill my boys, you know? That's where I come from, is over at the NPL, and this is near on a make-or-break time for North America.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, after the show that STK put on yesterday on Miramar, you would expect big things out of them. So far in the first 2 games, it hasn't been quite what we've come to expect out of STK, but one more game to absolutely turn it around, get a lot of points, put themselves into a nice position going into Erangel.
So Team Liquid in a great spot right now. Naturally, they're needing a couple of good games as well. They're right in the center of the map. They've got AFF just to the north of them. Incognito, these guys have been putting on one hell of a show, just really showing up, trying to stand up for their regional pride as well. They specifically said that they wanted to make a big statement, and I believe that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've been in it in a couple games here for sure on Miramar. They're playing well. I mean, they just ran into the buzzsaw that was captain there at the end of that last game. And STK, Purdy Curdy's heading on over, grouping up with the rest of the team. They've got Uncivil, so they're doing a bit of a 1-3 split here. Uncivil is south of the rest of the team.
Cloud9's running a little bit of a split as well. They do have Profi that's up next to Windstrike, but no real rush coming out. I think he just ran over there, grabbed a vehicle, and made his way back down towards the south. Shoot to kill. Really loves playing around Hacienda, so that's kind of one of their de facto locations that they are going to. You can see early rotations coming through for a lot of teams. I think that Tempo Storm still in the process of making their way up next to Impala to go for their looting phase. Remember, we had a very, very western playing path, so whenever you're somebody like Tempo Storm, that's going to make for a rough rotation. They opted in going south and make their way all over towards Impala now.
They're basically the only team that's outside of the circle. There are two members of VSG up in La Cobreria that are looting outside the circle, but they are already starting to make their way in. So this could be a pretty passive circle to start out with. A lot of teams probably just going to grab some compounds early on. Could see some 2-2 splits to, you know, kind of cover some ground. There's quite a bit of real estate available here, so we'll see how this all plays out.
Well, an issue that we're facing for Tempo Storm, since we're still seeing them move, they're really the only team that's outside the circle right now. They still have to loot, and then they're going to have to make their way inside the safe zone. And this is going to be a very interesting situation for them because everybody else is pretty settled right now.
Yeah, absolutely. VSG making a bit of a move here. General is looting an area on this road, so we might see them bump into each other here in a second. In fact, here we go. General looking to see if he can find an angle onto these encroaching members. Nope, he just wants to back off. Hulk, though, taking some shots at another member of AG, shooting out the tires on that truck.
Get rid of the Bronco tires. Don't let him take any shots over at you. Nice awareness coming out from VSG. Just teach every single tire on the map respect and make whoever doesn't have a vehicle cry. I mean, Miramar, we all know it's so terrible whenever you're like, you lose your vehicles and you're just having to run for forever across this map. Because that's the one thing with the desert, it feels like the longest run ever.
Yeah, it really does. And it's just, there's so much terrain on this map and so many, you know, it takes a lot longer because you got to go up hills and things like that.
The verticality, yeah.
Ooh, Juanita landing a bit of damage there. And Hulk gets the knock on the General. Oh, and this looks like it could be the first kill of the match here. Yes, VSG takes out General.
Okay, but we have seen Armory Gaming get stronger and stronger the less members that they have. What's funny is nobody can really get to that. That is like that's a tease. That's just cruel.
I don't think it's possible to get to that one.
Maybe
I'm not sure. You can maybe there's a way to ramp a motorcycle up there.
A motorcycle jump, maybe, but even then, it's not worth it.
No, it's really not. It's not worth almost knocking yourself, most likely.
Now, here we are. We have Duckmans. That's about 1.5 kilometers away from the rest of his team. Looking back over where Windstrike is at, he's had a little bit of damage come through. I don't understand what AG does, and I don't think that anybody else does either. And that's kind of the defining factor of them. They're always just this big X that nobody knows what AG is going to do, and it's what makes them so, I don't know, elusive.
Yeah, a huge wild card. Sometimes they make really smart, aggressive center rotations, and other times they do stuff like this where they're way apart from each other. And I think part of that is because they're so confident in their individual skill that they are totally fine just separating, trying to cover as much ground as they can, and quite frankly, it's worked quite well for them on Miramar.
Well, we got Cloud9 on the other side of this hill. You can see it's going to be 4 a.m. firmly regrouping now, so going to have to see if they have to rotate around. Really, keep in mind, we're around that area that's just north of Picado, so there's this big, huge, like, drop off of a cliff that kind of happens and makes it very hard for a lot of these teams to move around. So definitely going to have to see how people rotate through this area.
Yeah, Waikikamukau out here a little bit ahead of the rest of Incognito. Yak as well for Entis Force. So you've got your two scouts kind of squaring off against each other a little bit here. No damage has come down yet. Yak with that scar. Waikikamukau's got an SKS in his hands. The circle is closing. Tempo Storm still over in Impala, but it's not too far for them to make it in the middle of the circle.
So I know everybody right now is just like, oh, Miramar game. Whenever you do have a centralized circle, it can be a touch slow. As you can see, our experts that normally watching all the rotations sitting back there like, there's nobody really rotating, so we don't have anything to watch yet. But everybody's just starting to get these like lines of defense that are going to come into play, and more teams are starting to cluster more towards the center. So while a lot of people are still alive, only one death happens, makes for more chaos. The longer that you kind of let this pot stew just means that it's just going to be more and more hectic as teams have to make just these dangerous rotations.
You got some vehicles, you got some players, you got some guns, you got a stew brewing, baby.
Oh yeah, you can see NIP's Bard up on top. Again, I love the information gathering that we're seeing from all of these teams. They're all so firmly aware that you have to be paying attention to where every team could be moving, because if you have to make that choice on where you have to push over to, it could just backfire if you miss one slight rotation.
Yeah, a lot of teams really spreading out around the edges of the circle. So if this circle, hard shifts one way or another, there's a couple teams that are covering quite a bit of real estate here. OP Gaming Rangers. Oh, Yak, though. Waikikamuka is pushed up onto a Yak here.
Gonna go for a grenade. Yeah, I probably can roll it back down that hill, but not quite enough distance for it. Yak is just running, but a couple more shots coming from the other side. As you can see, it's gonna be the other members of Force just trying to provide some type of cover fire, not allowing Incognito to push up over this hillside. These guys were taking a lot of shots back and forth at each other in that last round, so one of them might want to get it down off of it to feel a little bit better about what happened.
Envy making their rotation. They hear these shots. Let's see if they opt to push up on this. Tempo Storm is right behind them as well. AG here, the two members. And remember, Duckman's, he's way out there, about, like Matrim said, about 1.5 kilometers away from Honboya and DMG. So they are getting in their buggy. We'll see what kind of rotation they opt to make here. Entis Force in this compound. They're getting shots from, is that STK or is that 17 Gaming?
I think it's also AFF that's towards the top of it. AFF has a really strong position. You can see almost everything around the graveyard area. Rotations now starting to come into play as the circle is about to collapse. Where are we going? We've had one friendly circle. Are we going to get another one? Is it going to just go right into the middle? You can see Shu actually taking a lot of shots back over here. Looking about 200-300 meters back over towards NIP, but they should be able to get that res. And there we go. All the Western teams are going to have to make some type of rotation. Hacienda out in the open right now, though.
Yeah, VSG trying to make a rotation here. There is one member of NIP that was knocked. The res did come out. Juanita might get a couple shots taken into him here by Gaxi, but Gaxi not able to kind of pull the trigger there. NIP backs off, and VSG is going to make a rotation north. They're going to pass right by AG. I don't know if they're going to get out here. Oh, yes, Star-Lord does get out, getting some nice shots onto AG. He gets the knock onto DMG.
Honboya does make it off into safety, but remember, this is right next to NIP with those shots going off. Now, NIP knows that somebody has stopped right next to him. Curious to see how they make the play off. This Juanita still favors the shot, but Duckman's taking some shots back over towards him and going to force him back behind that hill.
Duckman's had made a rotation of his own. He was grouping back up with AG, so able to cover the other member of AG here, Honboya. There's only two left, but like we said, this team just seems to get stronger the more damage you do to them.
You just can't predict where they're going to be at any time with the way they move, and it is absolutely crazy to watch. Cloud9 making their rotation through a very dangerous part and pushing right next to San Martin, but nobody else is really around San Martin right now. But Incognito making a little bit of a push right up next to Envy, so Envy going to be aware of this. Looks like they're still kind of resting on their laurels, not looking that direction. Yeah, I don't think that they've spotted this out. Finally, Pat Cap sees it, but it's going to be a little bit too late as Insight takes the shots over towards him. Now it's going to be a peak battle back and forth around that Bronco. Grenades are going to come out. So surprised right now after what we saw inside that last round, but Pat Caps hits a big nade over onto it, but Ronan gets it down onto Pat Caps. There comes the rolling grenades, and you can see Envy starting to get forced out away from this.
Envy is really spread out here, so Incognito has a lot of room to maneuver here on Venerated and Moody, but Insight's taking some damage from a third party here. I can't quite tell who that is. It might be AFF again?
They're way over on that hillside off towards the west. There's nowhere really for anybody from Incognito now retreat back to, but finally they get another down onto this. Taro's looking back over on the angle, trying to see if he can get anybody. Waikikamuka gets a lot of damage as well. Josie, so just trying to retreat out of this. Envy's Venerated still caught in the forefront of this fight. Just two members of Envy alive right now, and you can see the flanking push is coming off, starting to relent as there's more and more fire coming from the other side of this.
Yeah, 4 a.m. getting into this now. They're shooting into Incognito's backside. Looks like Incognito might have to back off here. Miraku getting a knock on the nerf as he's coming down the hill. Looks like Gaxi taking some return fire from Lobes. He's so low.
That sign almost took him down, but does manage to make it over the wall, sitting there with 6 life. We've got Show that's putting on a show up towards the top of that hill. Just beautiful vision everywhere.
Yeah, 17 Gaming. They are northeast of Power Grid, south of San Martin, so we've seen some teams take up that position like you've talked about. You have a nice overview of San Martin, but when you got to rotate out of there, it is a bit difficult. C9 below them in San Martin. NIP, you can see VSG has made a northerly rotation here, setting up just north of San Martin.
4AM's also making a push down towards the south, bumping into Incognito. But NIP, Cloud9, they're kind of rivaling back and forth around San Martin, trying to figure out where they're going to go. VSG on the move yet again. Not a lot of teams really up towards the north. We still have Windstrike out inside the blue. They're going to try to rotate out and around. I think that they saw VSG. New circle does pop, staying around that graveyard area. And look, just towards the west of Shoot to Kill, that is that big cliff. So we now have this big line running right through the middle of his 4AM, taking some shots over towards Ronan.
Yeah, Incognito once again kind of sandwiched now because 4AM heard those shots, and we're seeing them really pick up the aggression here. They want to third-party fights. We saw it last time in game number 2 now.
Just look at ZGG's stats. Kill average, damage average. This guy has been absolutely nuts. Nerf's looking back over towards 17 right now, but man, 4AM, they're starting to be a force to be reckoned with. And we talk about momentum in PUBG. These guys definitely have it.
Yeah, they've got to just be fired up. You could see it in the screen. Even after that long break, you still have that energy and that adrenaline flowing through you. So 4AM looking to do some more damage here on Incognito, and ZGG, the guy you were just talking about, gets the knock onto Ronan.
I feel kind of bad for the EU teams. We come over here to London and you'd think that they'd have the home crowd advantage, but no, the 4AM fans just do not allow it, as that's going to be Ronan getting tagged down and flushed.
Absolutely. We've got some other teams making some late rotations into the circle. Windstrike, like you mentioned earlier, OP Gaming Rangers coming in from the southeast. Envy down to 2 members. They're going to have to try to find a way in. AFF still set up on that cliffside there on the southwestern corner.
Tempo Storm making a push up next to Team Liquid. Looks like Liquid was looking on the other side of this. I think that they're aware that Tempo Storm is starting to make their approach. Actually, Jempty's still rotating out and around. You can see Samty's on the other side of this. Tempo Storm being very passive with it. Jeem's starting to push forward. That's going to be Sharky hearing it. Going to step up, take the shots. That's going to be a quick, easy flush back over onto this. Actually does not quite get it. Looking back along this angle, you can see that Jempty's preparing the grenade. Is it going to roll back over next to Maluk? No, getting a little bit of separation out onto this. Team Liquid, we talked about this. These guys need a big game. And oh, that grenade gets stopped by that little bit of fence. So the 3 members of Team Liquid now starting to firmly regroup, figure out what's going on. They need to assess the situation.
Big fight here for Tempo Storm. It's been a bit of a struggle for them in the grand finals. They need to take some fights, get some kills, really turn things around. There's still 4 games, there's still time, but you got to make things happen now. Interrogate looking to put some shots down onto OP Gaming Rangers. Nothing really happening there. The Rangers making their way into the southeast corner of the circle right now. Ooh, Mental on that motorcycle, just able to get through.
He's just taking shots going, please don't drive anywhere near me. He just heard a little bit of the firefight that was happening between Team Liquid and Tempo Storm just right above him, so he is just trying to buy as much space as he can. Windstrike now inside the safe zone and got themselves a nice, comfortable position, tearing into the backsides of VSG as they do manage to make it over to a little bit of a safe spot, except for Juanito, who's kind of hanging out inside of a divot.
Whew, Juanito just barely able to make it over that hill. That was quite dangerous for him. All 4 members of Windstrike were trying to get him there. Gaxi now setting up, hearing the shots from Windstrike, trying to find an angle, do some damage there. Just some pot shots, nothing really seems to come through as our next circle pops. It goes central eastish.
We talked about it with 17 Gaming Cloud9's positioning. Also, we got Armory Gaming, the other part of Afrika Freaks. They all need to make their way down that hillside. You can see everybody is starting to tear into the tires of vehicles, buying more and more space. The last 2 members of Envy have managed to regroup, but are losing their vehicles.
Yeah, this is a really difficult position for OP Gaming Rangers. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams on the southeast corner of the circle, preventing them from getting in there, and they're going to have to find a way to get into this circle. All 16 teams are still alive, and there is not a lot of real estate left.
So notice that we still do have that area just to the west of Minas Generalis that's over there. Another cliff. This whole place is just kind of cordoned off right now. To the west and to the east are walls that are going to make it very difficult for a lot of these teams to rotate through. That's just going to leave the low ground. All around Graveyard is a very bloodbath specific location. Venerated goes down in a shot coming out from Yak. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Yak managed to take down ZGG, but it's going to be Taro already going for a rotation, and this could be a very dangerous rotation to run into as he's going to be running right over next to where Arrowwolves is at.
A skirmish coming here between C9 and 17, both teams outside of the circle, having to make that dangerous rotation over to the east side of these mountains here. YY trying to find an angle. Oh, Lobes does get knocked here by Shocks.
This is going to be a very crazy push down this hillside as 17 is using their vehicles to reposition over, taking a couple of shots, just trying to leapfrog each other. That's a second member of Cloud9 now down, so just 2 members up. As you can see, 17 is just starting to make a little bit of a rotation around this. K-Mine was playing this high ground, but doesn't have an easy angle for it. You can see how hard it is to move down through this train. Look at this. Show just has a nice angle back over to it. Now 1 member back up. I think that they did get 1 res, so back to 2 members for Cloud9. But we've got Hanboya taking some shots into 17's backside that could stall them for just a moment, and that gave Cloud9 a chance to take some shots back. As you can see, Shox does go down and flushed.
Surprise, surprise. AG coming in, third-partying this fight with just 2 members. Very confident in their shots. They've already stolen a kill or 2 here. Just 1 kill. Hanboya has 1 kill. YY does confirm the kill on the K-Mine, but Duckmans gets the rip onto YY. Surely that will flush him out.
Now I think it's just Show running for the vehicles, trying to find some safety, but Duckmans has a beat over to him. Show just narrowly makes it back behind that hill. No, and it's gonna be shoot to kill, just popping him off the other angle.
Oh, 17 Gaming just caught between a rock and a hard place here. C9, still 2 members left. AG here on the hunt. They're looking to see if they can press in even further. In the meantime, Africa Freaks Fatal in a battle with their other Korean team, Entis Force, looking to push over the hill is NN. He's trying to get an angle, flanking out to the right.
Loeb seems to be aware of where AG is at, just trying to get some more information. Remember, this is a lot of just dropping down little small ravines area. You got to make your way around these rocks. A lot of damage now coming out from Africa Freaks Fatal, as it's going to be Incognito that has, look at a nice little angle onto the side of this. This could really force Africa Freaks to have to run back over towards where Entis Force is positioned at. Yak's kind of the front man for this, but don't forget about CPT or Captain, whichever way you want to call him. He's hanging out right over there next to that shack, got some smoke cover as Jokesy running right up next to it, and it's going to be Hanboya finally getting the sight back over towards Lobes, and it's going to be NIP's Miraku to finish it off.
Yeah, but STK has the angle onto AG here. NIP has an angle onto C9 Nerf. Nerf gets the smoke down. Hanboya gets knocked by Alo from STK. Gaxi trying to see if he can get another angle there. Kale taking some explosive damage. He's still fighting here with the members of Africa Freaks Fatal. Duckmans has to heal in the blue.
This is a lot of blue damage to have to tank. You can see that Nerf still just on the other side of this. Nerf just barely gets into safety, makes his way over towards the shack. Duckmans is going to come now over and just try to play inside this divot. You can see NIP aware that they're over there, taking a couple of shots. CPT is trying to get some grenades up, decides against it, goes back over towards the shots for it. We know that he's great with those grenades, but instead just trying to get what he can off of AFF. Can they make it into safety? And it looks like they do manage to find a little bit of a divot. Are they going to be able to get out in time? And oh, do take some fall damage, but should be able to get rezzed.
NN here just got off the motorcycle a little bit too early. Smoke coming down. Lambu very weak himself. A very precarious moment here for AFF as they try to make a central location. And you see in the meantime, Windstrike made a very aggressive rotation to the middle.
4AM does get eliminated inside of this. So now we've got Tempo Storm down on one angle, really just trying to gatekeep out a lot of teams. On the other side of this, we just have a lot of hills. That's pretty much all that's left inside of the circle. Just a smidgen of the graveyard area in play, and there's one building complex that VSG has. So with this, you can see a nice rotation coming out from NIP, but it's going to be OPR taking the shots back over towards Tempo Storm. They were trying to gatekeep out Team Liquid, but suddenly the Rangers just walk up from a different side.
Team Liquid stole that knock from the OP Gaming Rangers there, so they collect another point for themselves. Smoke's coming out from the OP Gaming Rangers. They're outside the circle. Gotta find a way in here. They have Tempo Storm and Team Liquid here on their right-hand side. Mental pushing up with Tamari on the front lines. DG98, the hero so far for OP Gaming Rangers in the grand finals, in their rear.
So you can see there's the cliff back behind him. Whoever manages to win around this, they will get them a little piece to kind of hide out on, but sooner or later are going to have to make their way back over towards the west. Look at the reposition coming out from Babo. He's holding an angle right up next to Tempo Storm, but Team Liquid still just on the other side of the hills here. They could at any moment decide that they want a third party inside this fight. I think that Zampa's still just trying to hold back EB from the other angle, and it's going to be a lot of shots coming back over towards Zampa.
I mean, there's 3 members of OP Gaming Rangers outside this wall. They can't wrap around the other side because Team Liquid could push pressure on them from that northern edge. It's going to be very difficult. Now Babo's got the flank. Ooh, will that grenade come through? Nope, just short.
So now it's going to force Babo around to the other angle for this. You can see Tempo Storm just kind of huddling down inside the shack. This grenade could be really big, does bounce a little bit right, but does manage to take them down. Shoot to kill, gets the down and the flush onto another one. Purdy Curdy is just huddled right up next to these rocks. Now repositioning, going to use the crate for a piece of cover and take the loot away from NIP. Tempo Storm just trying to push their way outside of this vehicle explosion, doing a little bit of damage. The Blues coming up right back behind them, but they have a little bit that they can play off of. Babo is walking right up into their home. You can see there's no cover to work around. Tempo Storm is just huddling around corners, just trying to survive through this. Sharky's the last one up, but there are two different teams just firing into this angle. There's nowhere to go. While that's happening, NIP gets eliminated by shoot to kill.
Yeah, Team Liquid here coming in and doing some damage in this fight. Sharky does manage to pick up a kill onto Mental. Team Liquid now putting the pressure onto OP Gaming Rangers. I believe they only have one member left. Genty confirms the kill onto DG98. You can hear the Chinese fans like that. Temeria, possibly the last member standing here for the OP Gaming Rangers. They made a nice push, but with Team Liquid up here on this hill, they completely blocked them from doing anything effective.
Team Liquid has the high ground control right now, but there are so many other teams looking on that angle. They know that Sharky is still alive down there, and they want to try to get him as he has to reposition. He still has to make his way about another 10 meters forward. He's trying to use the smokes, actually opting to run into the blue, just trying to see if he can feed it over, and he does manage to at least accomplish that goal, but that's Tempo Storm eliminated in 9th place. New circle has popped, and it's leaving near on no buildings. This is all just Miramar au natural. It's just hills, and that's about the only thing you can play around.
And Windstrike making that aggressive. Okay, Temeria gets the knock onto Ibiza here. Let's finish this fight. Temeria trying to find and block Samty, but no, Samty does confirm the kill. OP Gaming Rangers go out in 8th place.
That's a lot of damage to come through, probably damage down their armor. We're gonna have to make them burn through some meds and slow them down just a touch. Aerowolf 1 has managed to sneak their way down into the southern part of the circle. VSG was trying to go for a rotation, realizing there was not a lot of cover pieces to play, but look at this. We said that Shoot to Kill needed to have a big game. They are sitting at 7 kills, and they were just walking through team after team. That's gonna push them up to 9.
That's 2 knocks on them, though. We'll see if anybody opts to try to third party this. It doesn't look like it. Oh, wait, no, Team Liquid has the height advantage. They're putting some shots down into SDK. This could be disaster.
They're trying to at least get one of these reses off, so it goes back over next to the smokes. Keep in mind, Team Liquid needs a good game as well. They're fighting for European pride at that time. We've got Airwolves 1 right down below them. They've got the high ground now, but how are they going to leave this so dangerous position?
It is going to be really, really difficult here. Tiksu and the other members of Windstrike have been doing a lot of damage to VSG in the background. They've gotten 2 knocks onto them. I believe it is just Juanita left standing here for VSG. Ibiza trying to find Interrogate. Oh, Interrogate does the splits there as he goes down.
Got to make him work for it, Taro. I respect it. So we got RDK right down below Team Liquid. Got a couple of shots coming out from EB. You can tell he's starting to feel it. He's sitting on 3 kills right now. A lot of members of AW1 still down below him. So with the 4 of them positioned off that, you can see that this rock that they're on top of, they can kind of make their way just a little bit back over towards the west, but the circle shifts hard away from that fight. So now we have Juanita, the last surviving member. We got Windstrike that's capable of keeping out a ton of teams, and Shoot to Kill on 2 members just narrowly inside the circle.
Yeah, Windstrike made an aggressive rotation to the center of the circle about 2 circles ago, and it is really paying off for them. They completely control that eastern side of the circle, able to gatekeep a lot of that area. Team Liquid here trying to find a way to flush Arrow Wolves out away from them, still fighting SDK as well at long range.
So Team Liquid has to figure out a way up out of this position. They've got Shoot to Kill in their sights, but they're going to have to make their way right down in between multiple squads. You can see there's just no cover. There's nowhere for them to go. AW1 is just tearing them apart as they walk down that hill. Now it's just EB back up towards the top of this, no clear angle, no path to make it out, and he just gets dropped by Vengeance from Shoot to Kill.
Yeah, now the Arrow Wolves have to cross into the circle themselves. You can already see SDK putting some shots into them. Now Arrow Wolves do have all 4 members left. There's only 2 for SDK. Arrow Wolves, if they can put some covering fire down, get some smokes down and try to run in here, see if they can make it through. Arrow, oh, that just missed.
We've got Windstrike and Shoot to Kill just making a wall, and it's just bullets raining down into all the smoke. There is nowhere for these teams to go. Sure, you can see all that smoke cover, but when you have 6 people just firing into it, some of these random bullets are going to finally connect. But look, it's Juanito off to the side that comes alive at a very pivotal moment, starts doing some damage to Windstrike that does slow them down, and he gets a flush onto it. With this, you can see now Shoot to Kill realizes there might be a vulnerable Windstrike off on one angle, but the unrelenting pressure has finally stopped. That's a allowing Aerowolf 1 to slowly creep their way inside the safe zone, but Winstrike's not going to allow it. They step up, get the down onto 1, but that's going to be a retaliation down as well.
SDK fighting for their lives here. They have 2 members up. Grenades coming through. Alo has to back off. Winstrike trying to surround this. What a grenade from Uncivil, getting 2 members of the Aerowolves.
You can see Katao is just running around that rock. There is no safety. 2 different angles, no place to hide. Shoots a kill, now sitting on 12 kills. Here come the grenades coming out from Winstrike. That's going to be a nice down onto it. So we are at 2 teams up. It's North America shoots a kill on one side of it with 2 members. On the other side, it's Winstrike from EU. They've got 3 members as they just got that res back over. Both of them seem firmly aware of where each team is at. Winstrike still just trying to get the shots onto it, but some nice shots from Alo are going to force him to retreat and try to heal up.
Winstrike here with a 1-man advantage. Neither team in the circle right now. You can see SDK rotating around the western edge, trying to find a way in. Jorski has gotten into the circle himself now. Winstrike trying to cover that eastern edge, and SDK moving up the west.
North America's last chances really are hoping and leaning into shoot to kill to get that regional spot. They're known for being great on Miramar, but they do not have the numbers. They're trying to connect with some type of shots. Tixu still not inside the safe zone. Grenades are starting to roll right next to Alo, but it's going to be a rock that protects him from most of this. Winstrike, these guys are wanting to have a great series. They're going to want to try to show off the strength of EU. They want to climb up that leaderboard. There's still 3 rounds left. Both of these teams can feel that they have a chance still. They can make the impact on this international stage, but it's just so hard to creep forward as there's just no cover to be had anywhere.
Right, neither team has much to work with in terms of cover. Alo has those rocks, and that is about it. Otherwise, you got to rely on the hills here. Tixu pushing up along the northern flank. Jorksi trying to get the land, the spray there. Nothing much doing. Teme coming up the hill onto Alo.
Split on both sides. Uncivil takes the shots back over towards Jorski, turns this back into a 2v2. Make that a 1v2, as now it is just 1 member of Winstrike still up and active. Grenades are going to start getting prepped. Going to bounce over the side of it. They know where he is. He's trying to make a flank around onto it. This could be the improbable push. He's trying to creep around the side of it. Does get the shots over towards Alo, but gives away his position. Now you can see we can have shoot to kill, knowing his spot. They're trying to go for a 2-point flank on this, trying to push the position, take down Jorski, deny the vision. Are they going to connect with the shots? Going to go a little bit wide onto it. It's going to be Winstrike trying to hide next to the tree, but it's going to be shoot to kill. That walks away with a massive 16 kills.
We said it at the beginning of this match that shoot to kill needed to have a huge round here on Miramar, and they do it. 16 kills, a winner. My goodness.
Oh my lord, that was so... I love it whenever we just end up in positions like that where there's nowhere to hide and you just have to play around the terrain. I'm looking over here to the right and I see Toffee's just dancing around. He's a little bit happy about this situation, but Winstrike, huge performance coming out of them. Team Liquid also needed a big game. They sneak into that 5th place spot and do walk away with 6 kills as well.
Yeah, VSG, a nice job by Juanita there at the end to find a way to survive, get them a 4th place finish with a couple kills himself. Aerowolves having a nice little showing for themselves here on Miramar today as well, a 2nd and a 3rd in the 3 games we played.
I mean, Team Liquid in that positioning that they were at, they had high ground over all of those hills, and you could tell that they were just punishing so many teams. Everybody was just kind of having to cower back. But finally, the circle shifted away from them, and that was the entire turning point on the game. It just moved to a flatland with those just couple of hills and rocks to play around, and then it was just a peak battle everywhere, and so beautiful to watch.
And SDK, so good at peeking over those hills on Miramar. They are the absolute masters of it. Their ability to control their sprays, move back and forth up and down the hill. You know, sometimes those shots hit the edge of the hill, but they're spraying so effectively that they're able to keep things going. And they want to do that. You want to hit the edge of the hill because you want your spray started before and after. You're pre-firing a little bit.
And that's one of the things about PUBG a lot of people tend to forget about is, sure, okay, you know, you're used to a lot of other games where you do the pre-firing, but there's no harm in it. If you're going to make that push and you're going to be brave and you're going to take the shot anyway, go for the pre-fires, even sometimes if you know that they might not be there, because you never know. It is PUBG. Suddenly there's just a guy behind a rock that you never expected. Looking at you, Armory Gaming.
Yeah, Armory Gaming, this one, they went out pretty early on, so nothing too spectacular from our current 2nd place team going into this game. We'll see what the standings are in a little bit, but 8 kills here from Uncivil. Love what I'm seeing from them on Miramar. I mean, they are just, in my opinion, and I don't think it's too crazy to say this, they're the best Miramar team in the world.
I mean, shoot to kill is just so good at Miramar. The problem with it is, this is the last game on Miramar. What can they do on Erangel? Can they keep her performance up? Because like we're saying, North America's dreams firmly rest with them right now. We haven't been seeing a lot out of Tempo Storm, Envy, and Cloud9. You see just a couple of points apiece over there, but Winstrike and Liquid showing up absolutely huge for EU in that last round.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to jump into our interview with Shoot to Kill. We've got Purdy. Freya, go ahead.
That is exactly right, guys. I am down here with the winning squad. And what a win that was. The last game of the whole tournament on Miramar, and you managed to clinch the win. How is the team feeling right now?
Revitalized. We needed that win for sure, coming back on Miramar. We had a couple of rough first Miramar games today, but Miramar's our map for sure. Well,
definitely. You definitely proved that. Now, I just want to talk about that double nade onto NIP. I mean, nades have been the theme of today, it seems. Can you talk me through what happened there?
Civ got a big knock. He fragged out that game in general, but he got a big knock on Nip that opened that up, and I just went with it. Nip kind of panicked, smoked themselves out, so I just walked up, threw a couple easy nades, and then the fight went from there.
Well, exactly. I mean, you guys, I think you ended on something ridiculous, like 14 kills between the squad, I think. Was that like aggressive kind of gameplay? Is that kind of part of your play style now?
I think it was 16, but yeah. If we can get the kills, we'll get them for sure.
Definitely. I mean, coming into that final round, the final fight against Winstrike, it was a 3v2. How did you guys kind of turn that situation in your favor?
We actually weren't sure if it was 3v2 or not. We thought there could have been a snake round, but they just spread. Civ and AO played as a really good duo at the end, and there was good communication all around to make sure they worked as a team and outplayed them.
Well, definitely. I mean, Teme was the last man standing there. He was kind of making you guys move around a little bit. Were you at all nervous, or did you at all doubt yourselves that you were going to kill him?
No, they definitely knew they were going to get him. We were just making sure that we were going as two. We wanted Civ and AO to be right next to each other. So even if he was there for a trade, he's going down.
Well, that's very confident words, and we're going to see if you can keep that up. Going on to Erangel, what's the game plan going to be? Because this was the last match of Miramar, which you said was your map. What's the game plan going to be coming into Erangel?
Don't get melee circles.
Okay, well, we can't count on that, because yesterday we saw 2 of those bad boys, which was pretty sweet. But we're going to head back over to the desk to break that game down.
That we are the second victory for Miramar when it comes to shoot to kill, being able to get an extra chicken dinner there as well. And we are back at the analysis desk with a big game coming out from shoot to kill. 16 kills as well as the chicken dinner. Huge stuff, which really rockets them up the leaderboards. And Toffees is a happy Toffees.
I'm not sure my heart can handle much more of this.
It melted.
These games have been absolutely insane, but hey, it's a 16K club. But guess what? The only other team to get 16Ks in any games in this entire tournament was STK. So we said, man, they're struggling. Maybe North America might not get a slot. Purdy Curdy apparently heard us over the loudspeaker and said, nuh-uh, that's ours, because that was an insane amount of points.
Did you just say they're the 2-time? Is that what you just said?
Yeah,
Oh,
two-time.
Wow.
They're the 2-time.
Wow.
16K club.
2-time 16K club. No, but yeah, obviously we talked about this before the game. This is the game for them to step up, because we know their map is Miramar. Home turf, everything for them. Circle panned out pretty well for them. It started really well. They were actually centering up quite nicely in the first 2 circles. And then they started moving from there, and they moved around a lot. And coming down to only 2 players alive, them clutching this was absolutely insane. I'm a bit sad, Winstrike, because they actually had this pretty backed in well, but they were playing way too passive. We'll also talk to how many kills they had in that game. Way too little, unfortunately for them. 4 kills only, 2nd place. They should have played a lot more aggressive. They had the positioning to do it as well.
Sure, there was teams below them that got plenty more kills than that, I think, overall Toffees, though, even though Winstrike found themselves a good spot in the circle, but STK just seemed kind of like they had the momentum behind them. They had the wind behind them, of course. We can talk about all of that in just a moment here, as our highlights are brought to us, as always, by NVIDIA. As previously mentioned, it really did feel like SDK had the wind behind their sails, and we could take a look at how all of that unfolded here throughout our last Miramar game of the day, of the tournament, in fact, Toffees. And yeah, I mean, who better to talk about SDK than yourself?
I mean, at the end of the day, I want to be clear that it's great to see them perform well, but I love that the bracket has compressed a little bit more. But SDK did that with a massive game we asked them for. Smokes and grenades became the name of this game, and you see Purdy Curdy hitting that double. We talked talked about on day one. He's the guy who runs around and collects grenades from the team when he runs out. He is the grenade man. And on the opposite side, he's got the trigger man in the form of Uncivil. And Alo, one of our featured players today, coming out in the 9s right now. That's a 10 killing spree, and then it just keeps on going as they eliminate team after team. Dominoes falling one by one as the Iron Men of PUBG punch, kick, bite, and scream their way to the top of this game.
Avenger?
You don't want to follow that, huh?
He's got nothing to say.
That was all toughies right there. I want to give it. I want to give it to him. That was amazing. I mean, what a way for them to end on Miramar. I just hope, as He said Ninja, we don't want any military circle.
Want to avoid that. Here's the
Look at this.
standings.
Wow, they jumped straight into second place.
Yes, that is a massive jump
what
by
a
them.
leap.
26 points gets themselves into second place, and Shoot to Kill is nipping at the heels of OP Gaming Rangers. Right now, the gaps are being closed. This is all but done. We will still have 3 more games, and a lot of teams have a good opportunity to be able to strike at becoming the Global Summit champion. It is very much all to play for, boys.
I mean, this, again, a tribute to their mentality. They came in today in the last game. They went out in 16th place, 14th place before that, and a mediocre mid-performance with OK kills on the first game of the day. They turned it around. There was no tilt. They said, all right, let's just play our game. Now, that circle in the middle of the map seems to be their specialization on Miramar, and I think a lot of teams around the world are going to recognize that now, that they play that area very specifically around Hacienda. They know the lay of the land. They are very good at it.
If they, we talked about this, if they start to be in the circle, if they're in the first circle in a good position, get into the second circle as well in a good position, they're going to be fracking out. If they've done it again and again and again. We saw yesterday as well, 14 kills in the third place. These guys are nuts.
Shoot to kill, more like shoot to middle, because when they get to the middle quickly and early, they can put their backs together and turn into basically the Megazord that is unbreakable as they stand their ground.
I remember that little dagger that they played as a flute.
I was a big Tommy fan.
That was a strange time in the world. But anyway, beyond all of that, of course, other teams that were able to do pretty well for themselves. It's actually impressive. They may not be super high up the charts or whatever, but Aerowolf 1 keeps surviving towards these later game circles and find themselves in their spot.
They had 8 points coming into the day, and they're in 35 right now, so I'm happy to see them kind of stepping up, because yesterday was a disaster, to say the least. Of course, also Shoot to Kill after the first 3 games, 1 point only. I really hope that we're not going to get any more military circle games. It's too much.
This is a big thing, considering he is like the biggest advocate of like, where's my milli circle?
And I'm like, trial by fire, and I just want to throw the hardest, but we had 2 yesterday. It's enough. Let's stop.
I mean, honestly,
Player unknown, please, no more.
All I want is nice center. Like, let's make Pachinki the middle of a bullseye and pop that bad boy right in the middle.
Just gonna drop there, please, no.
Oh my God.
My point is, I just want everyone to have the same sort of chance. Let this thing end on just raw speed, positioning, and who carries the momentum into the next round.
All right. Well, thank you very much. After the chaos of that desk ensues, and we are done here with Miramar, which means we have 3 more games left, and it's going to be on Erangel here as we move on forwards. We are going to go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen, and when we return, we have more from the FACEIT Global Summit to crown our Global Summit champion.